You are listening to the Proverbs for Living a Fulfilling Life podcast. Hi, this is your host, Dr. Rick Upchurch. These Proverbs come from a lifetime of experience. My goal in sharing them with you is to help you avoid some of life's pitfalls and hopefully give you some tools to live a more fulfilling life. I hope you will ponder the proverb in this episode and take away something that you can use.
Episode 9. Simple solutions are the best. I'm sure you're familiar with the acronym KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Curious thing about that old saying is the fact that it even exists. Why should we need a reminder to keep things simple? If you think about it, the obvious answer is that we as human beings are inclined to the complex. Have you ever seen a Rube-Goldberg machine? If not, I encourage you to search YouTube for it. What you will find is a complicated set of seemingly impossible steps that lead to a simple outcome. Something like, how do you get a ball to go through a hoop? Answer, you roll a marble down a circular ramp, and when it hits the bottom, it sends a ping-pong ball flying to hit a paddle, which turns a wheel, which releases the block holding a bowling ball so that it now rolls down a ramp, which hits a lever that raises an arm that tips a bucket of water, which fills a cup that brings down one side of a teeter-totter that knocks off a brick tied to a string that releases a catch that allows a ball to fall through the hoop. Simple, right? These Rube-Goldberg machines are irresistible to watch once the initial act is put into motion. According to Wikipedia, a Rube-Goldberg machine has evolved over the years to mean any confusing or overly complicated system. That's crazy, isn't it? You could probably point to something at your work that may be like a Rube-Goldberg machine in its complexity to accomplish a goal. There is something within us that seems to crave the complex. Partly, I think the desire for the complex is to validate our intelligence. That is, the more complicated we can make something, the more it shows how smart we must be, and how necessary. And the opposite being that if we propose the simple, it may mean we aren't very intelligent or very necessary. But I think there might be also a little fear that if we don't make our solutions complex, then we might be perceived of as lazy. Or it could simply be an aspect of humanity that drives us to the complex. Now, contrast that passion for complexity with Occam's razor. Occam's razor, in layman's terms, is that the simplest explanation is usually the correct one. This Occam's razor is attributed to a Franciscan friar named William of Occam, who lived between 1287 and 1347 AD. Known as a philosopher and a theologian, his razor, called that because it cuts to the heart of the matter, is still being quoted today and stands along KISS as a constant reminder that the simple answer is usually the right one. This applies in almost every area of life. Take away all the assumptions and complicated motives and look at the facts. Then you will be able to make a better decision. So, what I'm telling you in this proverb is an echo of these truths. Simple solutions are typically better than complex solutions. When making a decision, the reason the simple is the best can be found, I think, in 3 areas. First, the availability of resources needed to solve the problem. This includes time, physical resources, and money. All of these are easier to resource if you keep things simple. The more of any of these things you have to locate, the more challenging the project becomes. The longer the project takes, the greater chance it has to fail. The more materials required may mean that they can't be located at the right cost or in the right time frame. And when is money not an issue? And second is the process. Here is where keeping things simple is paramount. The more complicated the process, the more likely failure will be in the final result. Processes which differ greatly from the current practice are even more at risk. Processes threaten culture, and any threat to the culture will be resisted subconsciously, if not consciously. Processes that are simple and which can be easily understood and embraced are much more likely to succeed and eventually become embedded in the culture. And then third, the execution of the solution, that is, the ability and authority to follow through to completion, is the difference between success and failure. Often overlooked is the ability of sufficient staff with the appropriate skills to make the solution work, that is, to execute. Complex solutions often require expertise that is not readily available. A great many decisions have failed for the lack of the right person with the right expertise to bring about the desired effect. All of that to say, avoid building a Rube-Goldberg machine the next time you have to find a solution or make a decision. Simple is usually better. Because of limited resources and the necessity of working with fallible people who often have a different agenda, choose the solution that is the most simple to implement. It will also be the one most likely to succeed and endure.
Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to this podcast and leave a comment. I love reading fan comments. In every case, the information in these proverbs is merely the tip of the iceberg of information related to that specific topic. If you find that one or more of these particularly resonate with you, do a little research in the area, and I'm sure you will find more information that will help you. Don't hesitate to leave me a message. I'll be glad to help or point you in the right direction. May God bless you and strengthen you on your journey.